prices like a goddess. If she dropping, ain't the hottest, and your honest. Put her body's head turn, you make me feel like Osiris, cause I'm honest when she on. And I don't even like her at the moment. I probably never wipe her to be honest, but she said, go as deep as you want, but not that deep, but not that deep. She said, go as deep as you want. jacuzzi. Country nigga, granny played the blues on the stools. Head wrap silky, chewing on this oxtail. Scheming on the millie, trying to hit the yacht sail. Gold shining lobster near the Everglade music. When we drop, it's like you niggas never made music. Better days never came easy to a quitter. Ain't no pump faking, let them see that I deliver. God body, baby, big 7 in the skin. Probably why you never hear no better shit again. Higher than the spot that we bout to set the bar. Kush pack stankin', smell it before it left the jar. I just left the coast straight to another ocean. Niggas got excuses, me, I'm really having motion. Sipping on mimosa, chopping real estate game. 40 years later, niggas still the same lane. Just left the hood, niggas never heard of you. 30 long years, not a single word of you. Shop booming, baby, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been busy having motion. Just left the town, niggas ain't spoke to you. You a L7, probably serve dope to you. Shop still booming, come and get it while it's open. I don't have time, I've been really having motion. Boy, stop playing, this is not your lane. Never seen struggle, you do not know pain. Bitch, stop playing, would you be yourself? Fuck how they see you, how you see yourself. Niggas ain't real, acting real fake.
Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, DMG the Poet, a.k.a. Brother Pianki. And we got a powerful show for y'all tonight. Before I get into my spiel with my guests, let me do my usual greeting. Let me say God bless to all my Christian brothers and sisters. Let me say Hotep to my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Let me say Shalom to my Israelite brothers and sisters. Let me say Islam to my Moorish brothers and sisters. Let me say Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the NOI. Let me say peace to my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earths, them 5%ers. Let me say what's up to all my Abo brothers and sisters out there. Let me say salute to all my atheist brothers and sisters out there. Let me say what's up to all my Rasta brothers and sisters out there. Last but not least, let me say Jumbo to the rest of my brothers and sisters throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Now, y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you black, I'm with you, and I hope you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting. We can have unity without uniformity. And with that being said, we can disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. For those who caught that, I did draw a blank. But never mind that. My brother, the one and only, the infamous, America's most wanted coach. Please introduce yourself to the Paradigm TV 314 audience.
All right, so I am Coach Brody, also known as Brody Dharma, right? I'm a musical artist, rapper, singer, songwriter, music producer. I'm a former amateur boxing coach. I'm a sex and dating coach. I'm an actor. I'm a YouTube content creator. I'm just a Renaissance man. Anything can be done, it can be done. I believe I can do anything that I decide I want to fucking do, right? I don't know how y'all feel about profanity on here, but yeah, anything I put my hands on, I'm good at. That's just me. That's Coach Brody right there. I'm also known as the chairman. Shout out to the back chat. Shout out to Classic Craig. And shout out to the Sports Dungeon. Also, y'all check out my website. It launched today, BrodyDharma.com. My website dropped today. So we got a bunch of different things to talk about. I'm a guy who lives a BDSM lifestyle, and I'm very big into sexual energy work. I have my sexual polarity quadrant, my different concepts that I talk about on my YouTube channel. I'm also a big time nerd and anime guy. So I like to make a lot of references to anime and things like that are going on. It is what it is. So yeah, man, I'm ready to get into it.
All right. Well, you got a lot of background noise. So yeah, you probably got mute your mic when I'm going, and I'll do the same when you're going. But this is a refreshing show for me because I don't know if you know how it go in a lot of these black YouTube streets, but we often find ourselves talking about religion, race, etc. So this is more my wheelhouse, more what I like to talk about. So I've been looking forward to this for a minute. I had some medical things, and it looked like we lost a brother, but I'll keep it pushing. I had some medical things that I had to address, and so me and the brother had to push this show back. But I've been looking forward to building with this brother for a minute. So this is definitely something that I'm looking forward to getting into. So until the brother get back, we'll just keep it going. So obviously one of my favorite subjects is obviously sex and all the nuances thereof. And so when Classic Craig, who I call the mastermind, told me about this brother, I obviously wanted to get him on. So we got the brother back. But I wanted to kick this off, bro, by first of all, you said you were a former professional boxer. How did you segue from athletics to coaching brothers and sisters on dating, things relating to sex, and things of that nature? How did you make that segue?
So I was an amateur boxer, but I did a lot of sparring, and I've also helped professional boxers get prepared for their matches. Uh, for me, everything is holistic for me. It's all connected. Growing up, I realized I have a propensity for aggression, right? And I also have a love for teaching. So I like to be in control, but I like to teach, and I also like to find positive avenues to express myself. So I like to teach
Look like we lost you again, bro. If you talking, we cannot hear you. You might want to go out and come back in. Can you hear me? All right, so we lost the brother again. Brother dealing with some technical issues. But again, trying to switch up some of the talking points that we sort of tackle on the channel. So when it comes to here we go. We got the brother back.
Yeah.
All right, we got the
What
brother
was the
back.
yeah? What was the last thing you heard? I had to turn the Wi-Fi off. I wasn't sure if I was just leaving out the Wi-Fi range and I was messing up the signal or what.
Okay, yeah, because he definitely kept kicking you off. Uh, Last thing I heard was you were an amateur boxer. You help help fighters get prepared for their fights. To you, everything was holistic.
Yeah, it was all holistic. So all of these things kind of worked in tandem with one another, right? Because when I was young, I used to fight a lot, uh, but I wasn't really a bully. So I would find areas in which I felt like it was appropriate for me to express my dominant energy. And these things express themselves through the outpouring of aggression, but also through the outpouring of tutelage, of teaching. And those things kind of go hand in hand for me. So, uh, in becoming Coach Brody, at first I was Brody Dharma. That was just my musical identity. So I'd express my dominance through uh, excelling in my ability to write songs and my mechanics with my verbiage, right? But then it also turned into with boxing. I was an amateur. I was a coach, the assistant coach at the boxing gym I was at 19 years old. And from being the assistant coach at the boxing gym at 19, I was coach. But then I mixed coach with Brody Dharma and then just called it Coach Brody. Just one day I was making videos on YouTube and I was like, you know what, let me separate this content from my strictly musical identity and just merge the two together. And that's kind of how that happened. But how I got into dating and sex coaching was in the same way I maybe lost a couple of fights when I was really young. I haven't lost a fight since I was 13. I was I dedicated and became obsessed with learning how to defend myself and the mechanics of it, that mind body connection, that interoception. And through learning how to dominate another person's body through my mind and my understandings of the mechanics of the body and the mind when it comes to boxing and martial arts, that became the same mentality that I used for learning to excel in sexual relationships with women. So it was the same. So when that mentality went into it, I was having difficulties with dating and relationships, casual situations. So I immersed myself in experiences of integrating my shadow. A lot of these things are about just integrating my shadow for me, like through Jungian psychology, even though I didn't know that's what it was at the time. And through those experiences, I started to have a lot of more positive experiences, and through having conversations with my friends, some of varying ages, some that were around my age, some that were up in their 40s, some that were up in their 50s. And they would ask me for advice about how to navigate certain situations, whether that's text messages or certain sexual tips. And I would give them advice, and when they would take the advice, when it worked, sometimes they would just start paying me. And when people just started naturally paying me when my advice was effective, I was like, you know what? I don't want to spend too much time spending all my time giving people advice. So let me just charge for the advice so that people aren't taking up too much of my time.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I think that's dope because I think like what could be more important to a person than being able to cultivate that type of relationship. You know what I mean? Like we pay for everything else, whether it's food, whether it's clothing, whether it's your car, all of those different things, but we think we're supposed to get that insight for free. But that would probably be the most important advice that you get. So I think it's
And
found a way to monetize that while still being able to give people that type of insight.
and really,
So
it'll save you money. Like if you really think about it, like the way I give advice where the things you got to do to implement the things I say don't cost you anything. So a lot of what I teach is about what I call the biology first approach. That's not all of what I teach, but that's a lot of it. I did when I started getting into this, I dedicated myself to doing this, and this is going to sound counterintuitive. I didn't make more money. I didn't get in better shape. I didn't dress better. I didn't do anything external that was supposed to improve the quality of my sexual relationships with women so that I knew that it was about the mindset. I wanted to prove to myself that it was about the mindset. And once I did, my experiences tremendously changed. So truthfully, people will want to spend money on this, and not spend money on the advice that they can receive. When really, if you're buying something that you don't really need, or spending money on a woman who don't like you, you know what I mean, because you're trying to have sex with her, you could really save your money by just getting a coach who's going to help you actually attract women sexually, and then you can spend your money on shit you actually like.
and that's real talk. That's real talk. So give us an example of some of the brothers or sisters, not naming names that you've like some of the issues they had that you sort of helped them overcome with regards to uh, becoming more involved with the opposite sex.
I think that it's a few areas that I specialize in. One of those areas I specialize in is sexual energy transmutation. Another area I specialize in at times is text game. Another area I specialize in is something I call the motif, right? Which is being able to create that escalation between a non-sexual and a sexual conversation to make your intentions known in situations where it's too late for you to be as direct as I would encourage you to be direct. So I call that the motif. It's like, let's say you're having a conversation. This is some basic stuff, but it's not as automatic as most people would think it is. People feel like it's not on purpose, but you can make it on purpose. Where let's say you're having a conversation with a woman about food. Then let's say with this conversation about food, then you transition this into a conversation where you're speaking on two different levels. There's innuendo, and let's say you're talking about something that's cylindric, like a hot dog, and call it a glizzy or a popsicle, whatever it is, and then you can use the motif of that, and then move forward from there into seeing how much she feeds into the sexual aspect of the innuendo, and then transition into a purely sexual conversation. Or I think another thing I really helped people with that I used for myself was meme game, right? Many people will look at memes on the internet and social media as if social media isn't like sliding DMs doesn't work. That's not true. It's just that a woman has to view you sexually before you approach her sexually. So, with the utilization of meme game, all you need to do, find a woman you're attracted to, have a common interest, something that you're genuinely interested in, start with that common interest, post memes or share memes about that particular thing, because a public declaration is different than sliding in the woman's inbox, right? So something on your story or something on your page or something in a group is directly about that topic. And then you make a gradual progression between a push and pull on the validational aspects of her ego, where you're starting with something that's purely on the foundation of that common interest, and then you make it gradually integrated with the purely sexual topic where it's mixed together, and then you move from the mixed together topic into directly sexual. And if she goes from commenting and liking and loving and care reacting and sliding on your DMs or your stories from something that's completely non-sexual, transitions into the integrated between the sexual and the non-sexual, and then the purely sexual, then by the time she's responding to the things that are purely sexual, she either wants to sleep with you or she's an attention whore. If she wants to sleep with you, then you call her bluff and you make it happen if she's putting too much energy out there. And if you can tell she's not trying to make something happen, then you just keep her around as social proof that other women are attracted to you, because the other women don't know if you're having sex with her or not. So the other women will see her being an attention whore. And if she's validating the things that you say on your page, one thing this does is it scares away the hyenas. It scares away the widebackers. It scares away the unattractive women who want to disagree with you just to be hard-headed, bald-headed bitches. So you know what I mean. So when you have a woman who's more attractive on your post on Facebook or Instagram, who's validating what you're saying, a woman who's less attractive will stay in her place. So don't
Man,
get rid of the attention whores. Don't get rid of attention whores.
you got me laughing, and it hurt to laugh. For those who know, y'all know why. But shout out to the chat. Shout out to my brother Craig, my sister Texas Bama, my ace boom coon, my little sis Neo X. Shout out to the Dirty Brew. I see my brother, the real young phenom, my brother Rocky. I see Mika Watch in the building. So we in here, but yeah, man. Hey, listen, it's funny that you mentioned attention whores. So give us an example, in a little more detail of what you consider to be attention whore as it pertains to our system.
I mean, really, an attention whore is just the female equivalent of a
Or,
fuckboy.
or a man for that matter.
Yeah, an attention whore is just the female equivalent of a fuckboy. That's all it is, right? But the difference is this: if you are a person who is of earnest, right? If you are a person who is of genuine intentions, right? Then you only should desire a person to desire you in an area where you're willing to reciprocate. Whether that's you're willing to reciprocate immediately, or whether or not you set a price for reciprocation that you communicate. But if you interact with a person in a way in which you desire them to desire you on two levels, when you only desire to engage with them on one, you're either a fuckboy or an attention whore, right? So if you are, well, that's not the only way that it works. But let's say if you're a woman and you only want to engage with the man non-sexually, but you desire sexual validation, approval for how attractive you are, or want to feel as if he desires you sexually, you're an attention whore. You're a fuck girl, right? That's what you are. You shouldn't be desiring to be desired sexually by someone who you don't desire to have sex with, because anytime you're attempting to manipulate someone, you're creating the opportunity to be manipulated yourself. Same thing with a guy who puts out the energy as if he's looking for a relationship, or gives a woman boyfriend energy, making her feel as if he likes her when all he wants to do is engage in casual sex. I remember when I was younger, I didn't understand this, because before I began to integrate my shadow, I used to feel as if women were wrong for how they would react and respond to me, because growing up, when you don't have your shadow integrated, you view approaching a woman directly on a sexual level as being disrespectful. So you view taking the time to get to know a woman as giving her an opportunity to get comfortable, but you're also getting yourself comfortable because you don't feel comfortable within yourself. So when you're operating in that particular manner, what you have to understand is that if you spend too much time talking to a woman before you make your sexual intentions clear and direct, that woman in her subconscious mind expects you to know whether or not you want a relationship by the time you have sex with her, right? And if you say you're not looking for something serious, by the time you've taken your time to get to know a woman over the course of weeks or months, then automatically, even if you feel like when you finally express yourself, you're being honest, she's going to view you as a fuckboy. That's just how it works. And I don't make the rules, but that's just how the mind works. And it's the same thing with the man who is interacting with the woman and she's maybe sending him sexual posts or she's flirting with him. And then when push comes to shove to say that he wants to have sex and she says she's just looking to be friends, that's attention whore and fuck boy behavior. It takes a while to get to a level of understanding where you recognize that, but you have to know what you want and know what you're open to. If you don't understand that, then you will feel like you're a victim when you feel like someone's taking advantage of your kindness, when really your kindness was a covert contract. You were being nice, but that niceness wasn't realness.
And that's real right there. That's real. And so let's get into this concept that both of us indulge in called sacred sexuality. How did you come into the knowledge and the practice, the study of this ideology, and why is it important to you, and how do you sort of share that message with regards to your coaching and in your personal life?
It's in a variety of ways, right? And I say this because of this right here, right? Um, for me, it's more of a psychological thing than a purely spiritual thing. But I'll say that I'm an individual who naturally thinks in this particular manner, right? I naturally think that way. So it wasn't necessarily something I had to try to get into. It was just something that resonated with me. It was just something that was in my psyche that once it resonated with me on a certain level, it just became what I knew I wanted to do, right? But one way that I engage in it is the understanding of. I think a great way to express it is the instinctual variance. Have you ever heard of the Enneagram?
Yes, sir.
All right. Oh, you know about the Enneagram?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we about to have a damn good conversation. I know this right now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So check this out, right? So for me, when I break down, and I just did a drop on my YouTube yesterday about repression versus transmutation. At a young age, I saw the dangers of repression because I remember I was celibate for religious reasons at one point in my life, right? For 3 years of my adult life, I was celibate, right?
Oh
And
wow.
this was for religious reasons. But one thing that occurred during this time is that I recognized that through the repression of my sexual energy, while having a woman in my life that I loved, it caused other women to become more sexually appealing to me when I used to be an eyes for one woman type of man. So I started to recognize the dangers of repression, the dangers of sexual repression. So one thing that I say is this: I don't think any relationship works without a proper understanding of sexual energy transmutation unless you are pretty much just alone.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And with that being the case, how do you is that sort of the same approach you take to coaching, or do you apply that to your coaching uh, strategy as well?
So I think a great way of understanding it is
You,
I think a great way of understanding it is through the instinctual variance within the Enneagram and then understanding Dom sub dynamics. Because it's really most of this is about a combination of two things, more than two, but I'll say two, right? Understanding Dom sub dynamics and understanding the different instinctual variants of the Enneagram, right? So, hey, my man, you know the Enneagram. What are the instinctual
oh,
variants?
I was just about to say now for the lane, I'm a layman, and for the people in the chat, because I told you my book up, so I should have went and got it, but for the layman and for the people in the chat who may not know, break down the Enneagram and then kind of give an elementary level brief breakdown of how that works.
So I'll say that for this video, the instinctual variants themselves are not that important, right? But
Okay.
what is important right now is to understand the instinctual variants. So the enneagrams, like the 9 types of the enneagram, that's not important right now, but the instinctual variants are. So the instinctual variants are social, sexual, and self-preservation. Sexual does not mean sex because sex can take place at all 3 levels.
Mm,
On the social level, it can be casual sex, right? Or it can be feeling attracted to a random person or receiving validation from a place of novelty, right? That's the social level. The sexual level is going to be your close, intimate relationship, or what I would call your primary partnership, right? Now, to me, I do not speak on anarchist relationships like that, and I also don't push for a very strict monogamy, right? To me, I look at the cycle of energy. So my content isn't about relationship anarchy, meaning everything goes. I don't believe in that. I believe in hierarchical relationships. But I also am not a strict monogamous either, where I say it's wrong if you're talking to anybody or having sex with anybody other than the partner that you're with, right? I don't look at it that way either. But that's the sexual level. That's where there's intimacy. That's where there's a focus on safety based in realized chemistry. And then you also have the self preservation level, which is your capacity for self soothing. That's your capacity for self validating. And that's your capacity for self improvement. That comes from the self preservation level. But on each level, the social, the sexual, and the self preservation, there's both a dominant and a submissive aspect to it, a dominant and a submissive component. So that dominant component is validation that you receive that makes you feel valuable or that affirms or confirms your value, right? And then the submissive ego is about how you value another individual. So what you do when you value another individual is you pour energy out. When you're in the dominant ego, you take energy in, right? Now, this is something to understand. Many people say feminine is to receive. The truth of the matter is, uh, I look at that a little bit different because I look at sexual polarity from a lens of dom sub dynamics rather than only masculine and feminine, right? So it's a quadrant when it comes to it. So let's say we're talking about the social level. On a dominant level, on the social level, it could be like getting likes and loves and comments and validation on social media. It could be going out to a bar and a random person telling you that you're attractive, right? That's the dominant ego. It's someone stroking your ego in a way that makes you feel desirable or makes you feel attractive, right? But the submissive ego is the attraction you feel towards someone else. So when we're talking about the sexual level, it's the cycle of energy with your partner, right? Now, understand energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed, right? And because of this, in order to feel as if you are fulfilled and in alignment, you have to have a proper cycle of energy. But the foundation of this cycle of energy is on the self preservation level. Because if you are narcissistic or depressed or have any type of serious mental illness, your cup has holes in it, right? Your cup has holes in it. So if you're depressed, then on the self-preservation level, you can receive dominant ego validation, but it doesn't hold value. Therefore, you do not actually feel validated by the social or the sexual validation that you receive, right? If you're narcissistic, then the standard of how much dominant ego validation you need is higher than your level of competency, right? That's where it becomes grandiosity, right? If you're borderline, it means that your sense of self is so shaky that the smallest sign that you're not receiving the level of safety that you desire or feel like you deserve causes you to completely split into this highly binary view of an individual being wholly good or wholly bad when most people are a full amalgamation of what a human being is. So you have the self-preservation level, the social level, and the sexual level. What sexual energy transmutation is all about is moving energy through your thought process and your cup space from one place to another. Now, duplicity, for me, in my mind, how I view duplicity mostly takes place through taking energy from a lower level or taking energy from the social level, right? And then taking energy that you receive from your partner on a social level, and then using that to establish relationships on a social level. So taking energy from a sexual level, which is your intimate partnership, and then pouring that energy out on a social level in a way that causes you to neglect or betray your partner. That's what duplicity is.
So let me ask you, because you mentioned that you don't sort of adhere or believe in like a strict monogamy. Does that go for both the male and the female in the relationship?
I put it like this. It depends on your situation. There's two principles I want to bring up. There's uh, outsourcing versus monkey branching versus the manna principle. Are you a man of the faith when it comes to the Judeo-Christian faith?
I am.
All right, so you understand the principle of you understand manna from heaven in Exodus, right?
Correct.
So I have this belief that having an influx and a hyperactive influx of being greedy when it comes to dominant ego validation will lead to an erosion of the validation that you receive. So let's say you are, and I'll say this: the male and the female dominant and submissive ego are flipped, right? We all love sex, we all love, we all love companionship, communication. Most people want all of these things within a relationship, but we typically want them in different orders and with different priorities. So a woman's dominant ego is going to value emotional validation, social validation, financial validation, right? A man's dominant ego is typically going to value feeling sexually desired and in a position of power and control, right? Competency. Uh, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is to break this down. In order to keep the cycle of energy flowing properly within your relationship, you should never take food out of your partner's mouth, whether in the dominant or the submissive, but especially not in their dominant ego, because that's what makes them feel valued. So, as a woman, you shouldn't be having sex with another man if you have a primary partner unless he green lights it and his needs are already met, or this is something that reinvigorates your sexual desire to be more available to your partner. But if this takes away from your ability to be present with your partner, it's not a good decision. Same thing with the emotional aspect for a man. You shouldn't be spending more time, more energy, more money, more investment on a woman outside of your primary partner. Uh, you shouldn't be doing that. And the only time this is cool is if you're dealing with a cuckold or a stag, right? If a man's a
Right.
cuck or a stag, it's cool, right?
Right. Right.
But if he's
It's
not,
said that, not to cut you off, because one of the things I always tell my wife is you could never cheat on me having denied me sex. So, in other words, if we not having sex at the level that I believe that I desire, in other words, I'm hearing no more than I'm hearing yes, and then I find out you cheated, there would never be any coming back from that because you literally were telling me no while telling someone else yes.
that's where
Now,
the betrayal comes in.
yeah, yes. Now, if you come, if I'm being satisfied the way I need to be satisfied, we can't. We at least have a place to start from.
You can have a
But
conversation.
yeah, because that, while I would be hurt in a major way, we would at least have somewhere to start from. But we have nowhere to start from if you've been denying me while embracing somebody else.
You know what? We had a conversation about this very shortly when we were having a conversation before. I call it
Yeah,
good faith. Right? I call it good faith because it's something I call past theory, right? Now, I think that past theory in short term relationships is a bad decision, right? You don't meet a brand new woman and then give her a pass for being as sexually available as you would want her to be simply because whatever she says, because she could easily be lying to you or to herself, right?
right.
But in a long term relationship where the relationship is integrated and you're mutually invested in one another, then you can give a woman a pass. If you're married to a woman for 5, 10 years, you're in a relationship with a woman for 5, 10 years, and she experiences postpartum depression, or she experiences just regular depression, or she experiences cervical cancer, or she experiences uh, things that greatly negatively affect her libido, you're not going to leave the woman just because she's not fucking as much as you want her to. But
Right.
she damn sure better not be giving no pussy to nobody else.
Exactly. Exactly.
But likewise as a man, I gotta flip this around to the men too.
There you
If
go.
you, I gotta flip this around. Never deal with an. I gotta be vulgar with this one. Never fuck with another bitch in a way that takes food out of your woman's mouth.
That's it.
Never, ever do that. If you do that, you deserve whatever come to you. I'm gonna keep it above with you. If you take your woman out twice a month, you have date night twice a month, right? If that drops down to once a month because you're dealing with a new woman, you're fucking up, right? If you get what I'm saying, if
No.
let's say your woman is willing to help you cover the bills, right? And you're short on the rent, or you're short on a bill, short on the payment, and she's willing to cover the distance difference. Yo, black ass better fucking not be taking another woman out with the difference of the money that she's spending that she didn't have to in order to support you. That's fuck shit.
Talk that talk.
That's fuck shit. Don't do that.
Hey, I wrote a poem today. I literally wrote this. If I could send this message, it says 9/21/23 at 8:08 a.m. And I just bear with me because this goes along with what we're talking about right now. I literally wrote this morning. I'm pushing it. I was trying to get my second poetry book out by my birthday next month, but I'm probably gonna have to push it to January. But just bear with me because I'm gonna read this real quick. It's called Reciprocity, and it says, "They say what's good for the goose is good for the gander too." Right. So here we go. Reciprocity. They say what's good for the goose is good for the gander too. If that's true, why do you look so blue? The news got you feeling weak. Some dudes claims your girl is his every other week. Says she got tired of the secrets that you keep. She's forgiving you time and again, but this time she's decided to creep. If you kept your girl inside while you were outside, don't be mad. Just reminisce on the foul times you had. When she decides she is outside, you can't be talking about wow. Yeah, what goes around, comes back around. Shit don't feel good right now. Shorty got you all in your feelings. I'm talking about big mad, like you ready to fight. Got you wishing you could got you wishing you could turn off your heart with all your might. We dish it out, but taking it is another thing. Should have thought about that before you gave her that ring. When you was outside, she showed she was down to death do y'all part. So why you acting brand new, like you can't play your part? Good girls don't turn bad. We make them so. Remember that when you about to call her a hoe. You created this monster. Now she's your responsibility to tame. Keep that same energy, my G. Anything else would be lame. My advice is be genuine, love completely and with total loyalty because of what's at stake. Because when it comes to reciprocity, getting back what you gave out, is a hard thing to take. That's going to be in the upcoming book, Volume 2, Love and Life.
Man, shout out, man. Hey, that was dope, and that's some real stuff too. And you know, hey, I gotta shout out my college and university, South Carolina State University. I was the poet laureate 2 years in a row, first runner up and the third place winner for being poet laureate at my college university. And I think that was a dope poem. So let me know
Wow.
when you got it. Let me know when you drop that book. And one thing I say is this: I'm gonna say something controversial. What's good for the goose is not what's good for the gander. But when
Break
I
it
say
down.
that,
Break it down.
I'm gonna say this right here. It's about reciprocal analogies, right? A one-to-one reciprocal analogy. I mean, a one-to-one analogy is not the same as a reciprocal analogy because, like I said, the dominant and the submissive ego of a man and woman are different. Most women don't mind sharing dick. They don't want to share Tinder dick. You get what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Yeah, just like a dude don't mind. Like this is the thing to understand. There's a difference between simping and pimping, right? Or
Okay.
macking and simping, right? So there's pimping and tricking, and then there's macking and simping, right? And what I mean by this is to the extent that your woman has whole tendencies, you need to have a pimp mentality. And what I mean by that is this: if you if you're not giving a woman enough attention, then you're being unfair by not allowing her to get attention elsewhere. It's just a
Mm.
matter of does she want to reciprocate the attention and validation that she receives on a sexual level, because that's what would be disrespecting that relationship, because the attachment comes from the connection between sex and emotions. You have to be able to separate them. If you don't know how to separate sex from emotions, you need to be a fully monogamous individual, right? That's how I look at it. So
No doubt.
as a man, your woman is not going to mind you fucking another woman. I remember I was having a conversation with a swinger, and he was telling me what his wife said, and his wife said, "I don't mind sharing your body, but I don't want to share your heart." Right? As men, we understand that in the same way that most men are going to have other women, most men are going to be pretty much emotionally monogamous to their women. To the woman that's close to them, they're not going to put any other woman above them emotionally, socially, or financially if he's a man of character. He might still fuck them hoes, but he's not going to prioritize those women. Right? Now,
Exactly. Hey,
the
real quick, let me drop a bomb. My sister Mika Wise. She say I don't share D, I drain D. Shout out to the sister.
oh, I want to respond to something that she said too earlier, because this is something I do need to say. She said something about sometimes it's not about sex, but the emotional security and intimacy. That's called being pandered to, right? Because there's false safety and then there's real safety. Receiving safety from someone who is not in your close circle, someone who doesn't have to deal with your bullshit on a regular basis, someone who doesn't get told no on a regular enough basis because you're still dealing with them from a foundation of your representative. That's not real safety. That's false safety. So you should look at that safety as just validation that you're taking in and not reciprocate. If you take safety from an individual on a social level as more valuable than the safety that you receive from an individual on a sexual level, you're lying to yourself and you're delusional. Because on a social level, a person's invested enough in you to tell you when you're wrong. If a nigga is just a side nigga, he's not gonna tell you that you fucked up for what you're doing, because everything that you're doing to compromise your own values and boundaries and structures are things that stroke his own ego. So of course he's gonna tell you, "Oh man, he's just insecure. Oh, he's just controlling." If he was invested enough in you, man, that nigga might be your side nigga and get jealous about you fucking with it or talking to another man when you expect your man to be cool with you fucking another nigga and expect him to not lose his cool. That's it's goofy.
Yeah,
It's goofy.
a lot of these side niggas today get start to get jealous of the main man.
Oh man, listen, I'd have been there before.
You know,
Cause I do my shit player. I do my shit player. If I'm dealing with a girl that's my primary partner and she got a side nigga, I'm finessing off that nigga. That's what I'm doing. You need to get your car fixed. So you need to do this. You need to do that. Have him do it. Oh, he's sending you some money. Oh, go ahead, hit my cash app with it. Like that's how I am. I do the shit player because I understand that if a woman adds value, I can't hold her to some crazy standard that she's not gonna talk to nobody. She's not gonna deal with nobody else. I don't think that's realistic. But she got to know what she's doing. And if she don't know what she's doing, I'm about to tax the fuck out of her ass. As in, anytime you do something that cross the lines,
you
oh, you
switch it
gonna have to
up.
make it up.
You
Oh
switch it
yeah,
up. Listen, you
man. One time I had a girl, and she got her side nigga a present for his birthday, a T-shirt. I said, and at first I was like, hold up, you told a live omission, right? Not a live commission, but a live omission. You know what I said to her? I said, you know what? No, you can still give him his gift, his birthday present. You can still give it to him, but bitch, you about to buy me a whole outfit. That's how we gonna do this. Oh, I don't have the money
mm,
right now, bitch. If you ain't had the money, you shouldn't have bought him that shit. So you about to buy this whole outfit. I got some of the outfit on right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's how it be. It's like it's different ways you finesse situations. You know, if you on some Mac type of shit, then you create a level of safety where a woman can tell you anything. And if a woman can tell you anything, you can catch when she lying. And if you can catch when she lying, if she value you and she respects you, then if she knows she fucked up, she gonna make it right. If you tell her she got to. And that's just how I do things, me personally.
Got you. So let me ask you this. So now this is my personal philosophy. I ain't saying that it's right, wrong, or indifferent because everybody got to do what's best for them. I'm sure you heard the of the book She Comes First, right? My position is that she comes last or she comes most. And so what's your position on the actual act of sex and in terms of men because it's a fact at least for most that it's easier for a man to reach sexual satisfaction than it is a woman. What's your position on a man satisfying his female his female partner sexually and prioritizing that? Because to me,
I, I
that's of the utmost priority. But I know a lot of men don't feel that way.
I think that the issue is that there's a lack of intrinsic desire in most relationships, right? There's a lack of intrinsic desire non-sexually for men and a lack of intrinsic desire sexually for women. And what that creates is transactional relationships. And through those transactional relationships, if a man feels like he's doing things for a woman non-sexually to have sexual access to her, then he's like, "Bitch, I already done gave you what you wanted, so give me what I want." Right now, if the cycle of energy is on point, then the woman will primarily be the person who's in the position of desire and receiving the higher levels of pleasure, and the man will be the one who's primarily in the position of receiving higher levels of not only sexual submission but also non-sexual investment. That's my own perspective, right? So it's really about the cycle of energy. If a woman's with a man for a long time, eventually she starts to feel entitled to how much emotional validation, social validation, and financial validation he provides to her. Now, that's cool if she appreciates it, but if she doesn't appreciate that because of the entitlement, she will value it more from someone who she doesn't view as being obligated to doing it, and that's where it creates a problem of duplicity. That's what creates a problem of duplicity. So I think that as a man, you got to understand the dom sub dynamics. So I say that if you're on an integrated level, and let me say this real quick, I have four different cup spaces in my ideology of the sexual polarity quadrant. Right? There's the low cup space, that's masculine, submissive, and feminine dominant. There's the middle cup space, which is the masculine, submissive, exercise, and self-control. There's the high cup space, which is masculine, dominant, and feminine, submissive. Then there's the overflowing cup space, which is the masculine, dominant, exercise, and self-control, uh, the integrated masculine, and the integrated feminine. If you're not on the overflowing cup space of how you're interacting, then either the cycle of energy in your relationship has to be on point, or you're going to have to outsource some of your dominant ego validation in order to maintain your cup, right? And that may sound a little bit convoluted. I don't know how much of that was understood because I don't know how much of my content you've seen, but that's just what I say. It's like sometimes uh, we got to understand that your mentality is going to be affected by your level of security and where your cup is. You can want to think a thought process, but if you don't have enough energy within you to do it, you can't stay in that mind state. You can deal with a woman who can be feminine and submissive with you, right? But if the cycle of energy in her own life, on a self-preservation level, on a social level, on a sexual level, means that she has to pour out so much energy than she's taken back in, then she's not going to be able to stay in that feminine submissive level. She's going to drop down to masculine submissive, exercise, and self-control, or even worse, into the masculine submissive, which is transactional, or feminine dominant, which is duplicitous. So we got to understand that you have to have a good cycle of energy within yourself and within your relationship. And unless that cycle of energy is maintained, you won't be able to stay there. So you can meet a woman at first, and because you have a bunch of other women that you're dealing with currently, you can have your sexual needs met on a level and your dominant ego stroked on a level to where you're just focused on pleasing her. But once you cut off all your other women, unless she can meet your sexual needs fully on her own, now you're in a position where now the script has been flipped and you're relying on her to meet your sexual needs. And that responsibility of the woman to be the person who's responsible for your sexual needs feels like pressure, and it kills her capacity to experience desire. right? And that's kind of how it works. So sometimes as a man, you just need to be straight up front with a woman and let her know I'm not comfortable being in a monogamous relationship to you unless my sexual needs are fully met on a level to where I do not feel like being in a relationship has to feel better than being single. Simple.
Right. I feel you. I feel you. And because like this, me and my wife been together 26. We've been married 26 years. We've been together 29. And one of the things I always emphasize to her is if you don't want me sexually as much as I want you, and what's the point? Like the intensity with which I'm in this to please you, you got to keep that same energy with me. Like otherwise, this is an exercise of futility to me. And so I'm just a high energy person when it comes to sex. Now, where where we where we get into where we get into an issue is she feels that there's an overemphasis on that aspect and a lack of emphasis on other aspects. Not so much the romance and the things of that nature, but just the overall relationship. Because we get to talking about bills and it's like, yeah, they're gonna get paid, but let's get up here and let's become one. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that because that's just my thing. Like, hey, we gonna take care of them bills. Like they ain't going nowhere. But let's go become one. And what's your thought process as it pertains to long term relationships and not letting life and everyday uh, occurrences such as bills, such as the kids, the in laws, the little nuances of life bogged down the intimacy. Whether it's just that one-on-one intimacy where it don't necessarily have to lead to sexual intercourse, as well as sexual intercourse. How do couples, long-term couples, sort of navigate that and not get bogged down by everyday life?
You know what? I'm gonna say something real, right? I think the main difference between casual relationships and long-term relationships is that there's a natural level of transmutation that takes place in long-term relationships where the non-sexual and the sexual bleed into each other, right? In a short-term relationship or in a casual relationship, a woman's not going to pull out of her non-sexual energy in order to meet your sexual needs. She's not going to do it unless she's extremely insecure, right? But this is the caveat. In a long-term relationship, a woman will be willing to do that and she will naturally do it, but it also means that the non-sexual relationship can affect her sexual desire, and that's the trade-off. If you're in a casual relationship, a woman's not going to transmute her non-sexual energy into sexual energy unless she's extremely insecure. But the trade-off is that as long as you don't include non-sexual things in that relationship, as long as her sexual attraction is high enough to you, then whenever she's free, then the sex can be an escape, right? But in a long-term relationship, it's going to be affected by each other. You get what I'm saying? So I think that in long-term relationships, there's different ways that it works. It's like uh, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a serial dickmatizer, right? Like that's something that I've done plenty of. And one thing I recognize is that once a woman's desire and her feminine energy is on a high enough level, nothing else matters. Like people think that men get stupid when they're horny. Women get 5 times as stupid when they're horny as men do because women have a much higher capacity to get horny than men do. Like men, we stay like let's say horny ranges from 0 to 10.
Right.
Men are probably going to stay between 3 and 7, right?
Hey, all day.
But women can range between like -5 and 15, right? Like let's say, like
Right.
women are
Right.
different.
Yeah.
Women are
And,
built
and
completely different.
we wake up. We wake up on 7.
Yeah, we wake up on 7. We wake up on 7, but women they have a much wider range of how aroused they are than men do. But that's because if your dick is big, it's gonna hurt her when it goes in. Like, there's nothing that's gonna hurt a man when you're having sex, so it's just easy. We got to think about it like this, and I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to fuck somebody head up in this call right now, right? This ain't even just about straight relationships, right? The G spot is homologous to the ass. I mean, to the prostate, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The clitoris is homologous to the penis. You know, if a woman is staying in a neutral state of mind where she's not greatly emotionally affected by you, she can still get clitoral orgasms, and it's going to be easy. And when she's horny, she'll get that, and she'll get her shit off, and then she'll keep it pushing. But she's not going to want to get penetrated by you. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I remember this girl. She used to tell me all the time. She and I were cool, and there was a lot of guys at the job that, very very attractive girl, and that everybody thought we were messing around because she would engage in conversation with me, and we weren't messing around. We were just cool, and I'm thinking that she's screwing all of these guys who she going out with, and it turned out all she was letting them do was give her oral pleasure. And
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute. So that's all they do. She was like, that's all I want. I have no desire for them to penetrate me with their penis. I'm like, what? And I'm laughing because they are going through hell and high water to get to that point. And all she is concerned about is she just gonna let them do that. She not even reciprocating. And I was like, what the hell is wrong with these dudes? Like, they ain't none of them picking up on the fact that she is not interested in that. And eventually, I think she eventually gave in to one or two, but it was crazy to me that's what they were that's what they were doing. I'm like, wow. And it was like 4 or 5 of them that she kind of had on the string. And I'm like, they'll see her talking to me, and all 5 of them would be pissed. And I'm like, bro, we just cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all. That's all.
I think that's a real thing that takes place. I done had a conversation with a girl before. I said, uh, it wouldn't be beneficial for our relationship right now for you to be fucking with a nigga. If you want to let him eat the pussy, I ain't mad at you. You know, I mean, get you some head. Because I understand that the penis and the clitoris are homologous. They don't, like, unless a person's extremely emotionally invested or being extremely edged and teased, then the clit and the penis aren't really going to affect you that much on an emotional level, right? Unless that's the peak of experience that you've had. Once a woman's had vaginal orgasm from penetration, like crying from dick, cervical orgasm, squirting, then some head is just some head. It's like candy. When getting fucked is like a full meal. You get what I'm saying? So
I,
it's different.
I tell my wife, a couple times a week, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you a break tonight. Listen, when I come upstairs, all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna suck them candy coated toes, and I'm gonna let you sit on my face.
Praise
You ain't
God.
got, you ain't got to worry about me taking you up and down through there tonight. You ain't gonna have to get in the tub or none of that. But I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna suck them candy coated toes till it's tickle me Elmo time, and then you gonna sit on my face, and we gonna go to sleep. Because every now and then she need a break. So even in the long term relationships, you gotta give a sister a break. But so I can imagine how it is when a woman's single. You know what I mean?
I'll put it like this: you a man after my own heart because I do the same shit sometimes. Like, one thing I recognize about long-term relationships is that, like, sexual attraction is dynamic; it's not static. And not only is sexual attraction dynamic, not static, but a woman's energy levels are dynamic, not static, right? So I'm gonna give an example real quick, right? Like, I got videos about something I call Brody scale of sexual attraction. It ranges from 5 to 10, right? And this is woman's sexual attraction. You got to understand that if a woman pours, like, what it the energy a woman pours out when she's getting penetrated, how much desire she needs to experience to be penetrated truly takes a certain amount of energy, to where if she doesn't have that energy to give, it's going to deplete her and she's going to be drained. She might experience something called subdrop. If people know about the BDSM community, they know what sub drop is. Sub drop is something you want to avoid. That's why I say never lead with the A game dick. If I'm meeting a new woman, I'm never gonna give no woman the A game dick because I done seen how crazy bitches get. Like
Bro,
no,
I tell
no.
it's funny, not to interrupt you. I tell my bros, I say, bro, they'll come back and tell me a crazy story about how a sister started acting after, and I'd be like, bro, why did you give her all of it? And they'd be like, what you mean? You gave her all of it, and now you surprised that she acting away with you? And they'd be like, oh, bro, it's like, and just mentioned the A game. You can't do that and then expect it not to be a reaction behind that.
Yeah, to me, I damn near say I'm not trying to give a woman the A game unless she's really on my program. Like she's a submissive of mine who's been on the program for months, or unless it's a situation where maybe it's a woman I've been talking to and she's out of town and I don't care if she experiences sub drop because I ain't about to see her after this anyways, or unless it's like a reward for good behavior, like a woman been really invested in me. But outside of that, I don't give women A game dick like that. I really don't do it that often because I've seen like I done had times where let's say I'd have a submissive come through. I got a song. I wish we would have played that song earlier. It was a feature I did with Lace the Hands. It was a song called Better, right? And in that song, I was telling a story of an experience I had with one of my submissives, right? She was a brat, but she was a sub too, right? And she was acting up, and I gave her the A game dick when she was acting up. Oh man, I had this bitch crying on the dick, like, and when I say she had a mental breakdown on it, the next day she hit me up and she was like, next day she hit me up and she was like, Amari, I needed all of that last night physically, but I just don't feel like God is happy with. I just don't feel like God is happy with this. Now, I'm
Hey,
like, and
the best thing a woman can say to you is that she needed that. Like I ain't never heard a more magical term than I needed that.
but it's different when it come with, but I'm done fucking with you. Now she wasn't done fucking with me though, but it makes shit toxic. Listen, it makes shit toxic. Because what I did was when she hit me up with that shit, listen, that was in my toxic days. I didn't even respond back to her. I hit her up like 3 days later. I'm like, send me that video that we made the other night. And she was like, let's make another one.
Wow, my man. So check it out. I want to get into the BDSM, and then we're gonna talk about one of my favorite subjects, candy coated toes, and then I want to open it up for questions from the chat if that's cool with you.
All right, go ahead. And hold on. I just seen a comment from Mika. She was talking about don't be slow digging. Man, you don't know how crazy these women get when you be putting real dick in them. Most of these women don't get no real dick in their life. You deal with what women put niggas through when you be giving dick on them they don't deserve to be getting, and then you let me know how that go for you, and then and then get back to me on that one right there.
Brother, I met a woman today. She's 62 years old. Nice looking woman. Especially 62 years old. She's nice looking. Because she looked like she could be in her mid to her early to mid 40s, but she's 62. She said she has never had an orgasm with a man.
Man,
Never.
I got a video about that, man. I got a video about that called the orgasm conspiracy. I think that, you know, logic is a beautiful thing, but when a woman spends too much time in her masculine energy, it forces her sexual pleasure to be forced into either not happening at all or it pushes her sexual focus into her clitoris, right? It's like people get mad at Sigmund Freud about this. Like the feminists are real mad at Sigmund Freud about this because Sigmund Freud was the teacher of Carl Jung, which is the person who I probably look up the most to in the psychological field. And Sigmund Freud said that a woman who is mature, the focus of her sexual pleasure begins to move from her clitoris into her vagina. And ooh, the feminists are mad as hell at him about that, right? But then I saw a study. It was an actual study that was done. It was research done, right? They did a study. And in the study, they found that women who regularly have vaginal orgasms from penetration, they utilize less immature and unhealthy defense mechanisms and coping mechanisms than women who don't.
And listen, and I believe that's true. But what's funny to me? Hey, shout out to my brother Cap 10K. That's my bro from ISUPK. Shout out to that brother.
Man,
Uh,
shout out to the Israelites.
yeah, real good brother, man. Y'all, hopefully he'll jump on for some questions or just his input because the brother do his thing as well. Uh, but what's funny to me is I often find myself wondering because I try not to be like arrogant, when women say stuff like that in my presence or to me, because I wonder if that's like an invitation to give it a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, this female said a few weeks back, she was like, just in the course of a conversation, she was like, I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta go change my pad. And we was all like, what the hell? And she was like, oh, I'm not on my cycle. It's just that I be so moist that I mess up my panties, so I wear a pad. And we looked at each other, and then she looks directly at me, and I'm like, is this okay? Let me not even respond to this. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I'm like, so when women do things like that, it's almost like cerebral but bold at the same time. Like what's the I don't want to say motive, but what's your take on that line of putting it out there, so to speak?
Either I'd ignore it or I'd put her feet to the fire, but I'm not gonna do nothing in between.
Yeah,
Because my thing is this: it depends on what I got going on. Because either that's a woman who wants some, or she an attention whore. And if we're platonic friends, that's how we're interacting with one another.
Texas Bama.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, yeah. If we're acquaintances or we're platonic friends, I'm not about to sit here and validate how sexually appealing you are, let you know I want to fuck you, because you might be a fuck girl, you might be an attention whore. See, this I'm gonna say this real quick too. When it comes to masculine
Oh, and
dominance,
she a saleswoman at the job. This was like her first time at our facility. She didn't know none of us. For her to even say that.
so she might have been looking for some good dick out there. But I say this right here too. It's like for me, uh, you got to know what you want, know what type of situation it is. Because for me personally, uh, this something I've learned throughout life is this: when women say I don't want to mess up the friendship, they're not talking about the man. They're talking about themselves. Because a woman who got a little bit of game, if your dick is too good, she's not going to be able to talk to you on a regular basis without acting goofy, right? So it's one of those things where if you got a woman who adds value to your life, who you can collaborate with, who helps you with business, who helps you with different things, don't fuck that up with sex because if unless you want a relationship and you're ready to take it there with her, you put some dick on her that's a little bit too good, then she gonna start ghosting you, or she gonna start being clingy. She gonna start acting weird, bro. I don't like that shit. I just don't like it. So for me, unless I'm willing to take what comes with fucking with a woman, I'm not gonna give her no dick. I'm gonna keep the dick to myself. I be stingy with it sometimes.
Sound advice, fellas. Just because a woman putting it out there don't mean you gotta take it. So with that said, let's talk about BDSM, bro. How did you get into that? Because it's kind of like a taboo subject, and for a lot of people, it's just a normal, kink or practice that they've incorporated into their sex life. How did you get into it? How did it become normalized to you? And do you recommend it to other people?
I will be completely honest with you, man. I'm a naturally dominant and somewhat aggressive and controlling person. It's just how I am. And to me, BDSM was a way of doing that in a way that's consented to, right? Like for me, doing vanilla shit is role play for me, right? Pretending to be equal in a relationship is role play. Like for most people, BDSM is the role play. No, for me, pretending that you my equal is role play because ain't no bitch my equal. Like that's how I feel. Maybe that sounds toxic to some people. I don't care what those people think, but I like women who like that they know that that's what it is. I like that, right? So for me, my journey took place through integrating my shadow. When you're integrating your shadow, you go through a process of figuring out what your deepest, darkest desires are, and then finding socially, legally acceptable and things that people can consent to that fall in line with what your desires are. And for me, for some people, when they integrate their shadow, it may just be they want to do something a little kinky every once in a while. For me, I want to sit there and give a woman a schedule for, okay, what are you eating this week? How many times are you going to the gym? You go to the gym twice this week? Okay, I'm gonna give you a massage this weekend. Okay, you're staying under your calories throughout this week. Okay, then I'm gonna cook for you. We're gonna do something special this weekend, right? Okay, you're learning. I'm sending her videos. I'm making videos, gearing towards things that she's working on. To me, I'm somewhat of a caregiver. I fluctuate between being a dom, a master, and a daddy dom. So for me, it's just being myself, but just using BDSM to give verbiage to who I naturally am. So for me, BDSM is just it's just me being myself to a certain extent, but just using verbiage that's somewhat socially acceptable so that it's not just being toxic or abusive. Some people will look at the things I say and assume I'm being toxic, abusive just because they don't have my experiences. Just because bitches don't fuck with you as much as they fuck with me doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, right? Just because women don't want to give you the amount of control they give me doesn't mean I'm bad because they like it here. They love it here, right? I've never in my life lied to a bitch to fuck. I've never in my life taken a woman out on a date to have casual sex with her. Niggas can't say what I say about how I move, right? I listen. I wouldn't buy a bitch a faux for faux from Wendy's to get some pussy. I wouldn't do it, right? Because that goes now. My thing is this right here. That doesn't mean I wouldn't do anything for a woman. If I've been dealing with a woman for some weeks, for some months, and she's on point, I'm going to make a gradual progression between the sexual and the non-sexual. And if I genuinely enjoy a woman's company non-sexually, I'll take her out. We'll go out to a concert. We'll go out to an anime convention. I'll invite her into my world. We'll have a good time. I'll buy her things because if I like you, I like you. But I'm not liking you based off of sex because bitch, sex is what I'm offering you. Sex ain't what you offering me.
Talk that talk.
Dick
Let me
ain't
ask
free. Free.
let me ask you this, and keep it a buck. Have you ever been the bull for a cuckold couple?
I'll put it like this. I've been a side nigga. I haven't been a bull, but I've been a side nigga. And it's pretty similar. To me, I look at Dom sub dynamics outside of the spectrum of being directly within the BDSM community. So a woman like, so I'll say this, I'm in South Carolina. And because I'm in South Carolina, a lot of where I'm at is going to be rural areas. And within these rural areas, there's going to be a lack of understanding and knowledge about the BDSM community. But a lot of the aspects of the BDSM community are things that people naturally do and gravitate towards without their conscious understanding of them. So a lot of things that I talk about are things that take place without there even being a conversation about it, right? Just like for me, most doms couldn't say this. I had to learn to develop a level of dominant empathy to where I have never had to use a safe word. I don't deal with women outside of BDSM, but I've never had to use a safe word, right? That's just real stuff. I listen when I say that I've been pretty much living a 24/7 BDSM lifestyle for at least the last 5 6 years of my life consistently. Uh, it's true, but at the same time, uh, I'll say that there's certain things that I like, and a lot of it came from things I observed or things women did for me or with me that I enjoyed, and I'm like, okay, this is something I want on a consistent basis. But I also understand that there's a reciprocation to that. You trade pleasure for power, right? The more control you give up, the more pleasure you have the capacity to experience. When you give up power, power has to be given to someone who has is responsible with that power. So my value when it comes to this is I do not want more control over a woman that I'm willing to leave with, right? I don't want a woman to give more of herself to me than I'm willing to do something with. That's something I very much agree with.
Can a woman be a dom in a relationship?
Yes, they definitely can be. My sexual polarity quadrant is not gendered. I think that uh, in the play sense, it's going to be a lot easier. There's some women who are doms, who are masculine dominants in their relationships, and that's cool. But I do think that there is a negative side that comes to it for most people, because I think that most women in their nature are going to identify with the feminine first. It's like if we're talking about Jungian psychology, in the anima and the animus, both like there's this one theory that both men and women have both an anima and the animus, but whatever you identify with first is what you develop and integrate to a level where you just identify with that, but it's holistic, where you have a full spectrum of how you view yourself. And then the other side is the side that you have to develop through your interactions with the opposite sex. So when I'm looking at it from that perspective, a woman can be the dominant in a relationship, but I think that you have to accept what comes with being feminine submissive on a high level. I don't think that in most instances a man can truly be a submissive and accept what it means to be submissive unless he is aroused by being called a bitch, unless he's aroused by being called a cuck, unless he's aroused by being cuckolded, unless he is genuinely attracted to a woman degrading him. See, at the peak of the feminine submissive comes orgasm from penetration, men or women, men or women. If you are a man and you're submissive, either you're going to, it's either or both. Either you have to accept being degraded and or you have to accept orgasms from penetration. But without those things taking place, chances are you are lying to yourself. You're not really a submissive.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this before we put the link in the chat. How long, oh, well, first of all, do you have a foot fetish? And if so, how long have you had it? How does that play into your relationships with women? Or how do you incorporate it? Do you also uh, incorporate that into your teaching as you're, strategizing with men how to better engage with females on a dating and sexual level?
I'll say this: that's really foot fetish is probably one of my number one fetishes and kinks. It goes right up there with like, I got a corruption kink, but uh, to me, I have certain videos. Check it out. I got a video called "Classical Conditioning and Pavlovian Psychology," and I mean classical conditioning and BDSM about Pavlovian psychology, because that's kind of how I developed my foot fetish. I was maybe 18, maybe 19 at the time, and I had a homeboy who had a foot fetish, and I just didn't shoot it down. And that was at the time where I was experiencing repression. Everybody listen to the sound of my voice very closely. When you repress your sexuality, you will have certain kinks and fetishes that will pop up. It doesn't mean that they will be bad, but when you go through a period of repressing your sexuality, it will start to pervert itself, right? And through that time, I accepted it and I was cool with it. I liked it, but it benefited me because at the time that I developed my foot fetish, I had a woman who, because of her own sexual repression, she began to binge eat. And through that binge eating, she gained weight. Through the gaining of that weight, I lost a certain level of attraction. But when I discovered my foot fetish and developed that foot fetish, I realized she had pretty feet. And that gave me the capacity to maintain my level of attraction to her long enough for her to actually lose the weight. And to me, that became something that was so valuable to me and so powerful to me. Because you also have to think about overstimulation. I've been watching porn since I was in the single digits of ages, right? So seeing pussy and seeing titties and seeing ass, it's cool, it's cute, it's attractive. I like it. Of course, I'm not gay. I don't want no dick in my life. But it don't make my dick hard just to see pussy and titties. No, it don't. But seeing some pretty toes or some nice wrinkled up soles with some oil on them, they get me brick hard, right? So to me, it was just a natural progression for me throughout my life. And I'll say this, kinks and fetishes, like I like the fact that I don't have to overly focus on how attractive a woman is. Because a woman having some pretty feet, it automatically gives her like an extra point, point and a half on my scale of how attracted I am to her, which means it makes it much easier for me to focus simply on how she treats me and how her energy is with me, rather than her meeting this preordained standard of social acceptance when it comes to attraction. And I really like that, and I really enjoy that. So to me, I'll say that once you learn that you have more control over what you're attracted to than you believe that you do, it gives you the capacity to focus on and sexualize. I hate these damn feminist bitches on Twitter all the time who are always talking about stop sexualizing. Bitch, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sexualize that shit. You got a man in your life who you care about, fetishize and sexualize that man in any conceivable way. If you like
Hey,
the way that man cooks grits, if that make your pussy wet, feed into it. Right? If you
I
like the way,
hate. I, I
so yeah,
really hate when people say don't sexualize me or don't, because I'm like, shit, sexualize me. Like, like look at me and get moist. But I want to touch on what you said. Like you said, and I don't know if this is a universal thing with men or just people, period. But I too had access to porn, unfortunately, in the single digits of age. And it was something that was hard for me to shake as I continued to get up in age. And one of the things that I noticed immediately was how females, how their legs would contort, how they toes would bend, and it was just like, damn, as you looking in these magazines and you looking in these videos, it was just something about the silhouette of a woman's legs and her feet that just it got me. I'm talking about 7, 8 years old. And so uh as I continue to get older, and then you looking and you just seeing, it's like she got pretty feet. She got pretty feet. But what was funny about it, I repressed it for a long time. Like I ain't want to share it with nobody. I ain't want to talk about it with nobody. I didn't even want to put it into practice because my wife, having grown up in the church, I thought that she would reject it. And then one day I was like, hey, check this out. I'm I'm a certified high power super freak, and all this freaky stuff I want to do, I only want to do it with you. And so, I hope you with it. I hope you ain't tripping off of this. I hope you ain't tripping off of that. But this is what I want to do. She was like, as long as you want to do it with me, I tried. And hey, I've been doing my thug thizzle, as they say, ever since. But I just wanted you to touch on that because I think a lot of people have these kinks, fetishes, etc., but they feel ashamed, they feel a way about it, especially in our community, and they don't want to explore that for various reasons. And I'm saying this: look, if you within the confines of your relationship or your comfortability level, do what you do to please your woman or your man, etc. But what you say to that, and then we got Mika on the line. I'm sure she got a bunch of questions.
So one thing I'll say to that, I think that's a beautiful thing, man. I think that the best way to combat sexual duplicity is to make sure that the peak of whatever experience you want to have is being experienced within the confines of your relationship dynamic. You get what I'm saying? So it's like if you're an individual, the worst thing you can do is, to me, the worst thing you can do is say, this is something I'm open to, but I'm only open to it with somebody who I don't care about. I think that's the most harmful thing that you can do to your relationship. uh, like it's very damaging to do that, because you want to be able to express the peaks of your kinkiness and your nastiness with the person who actually gives a fuck about you, who's invested in you, right?
Right.
And I think the reaction, what you told your wife, was beautiful. When she said back, that was beautiful as well. Now you sucking toes, and now she's into it, right? And I have a corruption kink. So I love being able to interact with a woman on a sexual level, her not to be into it before I meet her. And then after I start interacting with her, after she deals with me, either this is something she wants on a regular basis, that's how she approaches me, or when she finishes dealing with me, now she doesn't want to deal with a man unless she has a foot fetish. To
She
me,
take it with her moving forward. That's
yeah,
something that she gotta have. Yeah.
that means you're influencing her animus. That means you're influencing her imprint. You know,
Yeah.
a lot
You
of men talk about.
imprinted yourself on. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's real. And I say that to me, I think that we have to, and I'm gonna say this real quick. This is gonna be on a little bit of a different note than what I've been saying so far. We have to understand that people's bodies change with time. The novelty of a relationship changes with time. If your attraction is based off of the novelty, that's not going to last. If it's based off of limerence, that's not going to last. Realized chemistry has to be greater than curiosity for a relationship to work. If realized chemistry isn't greater than curiosity, it's not gonna work unless you're dealing with a cuck or a cuck queen or a cuckold. Unless that's what's going on, it's not gonna work because most people are not going to be comfortable with you feeling more excited about and being more invested in somebody new versus them. It's not gonna work like that. So being able to develop new kinks, new fetishes, new things that arouse you. Like I say this, I tell a woman like when I do coaching sessions with women, and if she's having a hard time experiencing sexual attraction with a partner, I say, uh, you can use porn to do it. Somebody says something about porn being gay in the back chat. I mean, in the comments. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. I don't agree. I don't want no dick in my life. But what I will say is this right here. What I will say is this: you can use porn to help your relationship rather than hurt your relationship. And I'm gonna break it down real quick. Let's say there's an attribute that your partner has that right now you view yourself as not having a capacity to be attracted to, right? Now you can go, this is classical condition, it's some Pavlovian psychology, right? Let's say your woman's getting older and in your mind you identify youth and beauty with femininity, so you're afraid of your woman getting older. You can go watch granny porn. Go watch some gum jobs. Go watch some shit about a woman getting older, some older porn. And if that woman is flourishing in her sexual energy in her older age, and you're watching porn with MILFs, with GILFs, with mature porn, then when you watch that, then the traits that your woman has that shows that she's moving in that direction, once you establish that fetish, that kink for that woman growing in her age, or let's say it's BBWs, let's say it's a woman getting bigger. If you see a woman flourishing in her sexual energy that you're sexually attracted to who's bigger, then when you feel that attraction towards that person, associate that attraction with the size in your mind or with the age in your mind, then you associate that age in your mind or that size in your mind with the attributes that your partner has. Then you get to transmute that sexual attraction from the porn to your partner. Therefore, you increase the sexual attraction you experience towards your partner, and now you're more attracted to your partner. So, where porn messes people up is using porn as an outlet for things that they aren't getting or aren't experiencing.
Right.
That's what porn messes you up. If you got a woman who's like 200 pounds and like 5'10", and she's stacked, and you're watching porn of these 4'10" women who like 98 pounds and they white girls, and you got a black woman at home, and this is what you're fixated on, of course it's gonna fuck up your relationship. Of course it is, right? You have to know how to channel what you're watching in ways that make you more attracted to your partner versus feeling like you're missing out on something.
Yeah, and that's real talk. And I can speak to that and having not even understood the principles with which you're talking about because before I actually stopped watching it and I stopped watching it for my own self discipline because I had a straight up problem. And so but it just got to a point. I'm at a point with my wife where I'm almost obsessed with her sexually. So I couldn't watch something that I couldn't transform into her or us. And so it was like if I couldn't relate it to us, it wasn't no point in me watching it. And so, and again, that was before I just had to let that go completely. And again, that was just because I had developed an issue where it was it had became an issue in my life. Like, you're late for work because you're trying to find the perfect thing type of thing. And so, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just got to that point where I'm so sexually obsessed with my wife that's what I ended up doing. So I can relate to exactly what you're saying. With that
You know
being
what?
said,
I,
go
I
go
want
ahead.
I want to say something. That I say I have the utmost respect for that. Uh, Having that mentality that you have that you're speaking of is something I view as integrated, and I have the utmost respect for that. And I'm gonna give some advice to the men who are in the chat who have this experience who watch porn. Focus on technique rather than physical attributes, unless those physical attributes relate to a person that you're with. If those physical attributes don't relate to a person that you're with or that you know you can attract, focus on technique. When I watch porn, I'm not focused on how attractive the woman is. I'm focused on techniques that I know I can teach. That way, my fixation doesn't become something that I feel like I can't have or that I don't have. Don't listen, disdain the things that you can't have or that you don't have. If you focus on technique and you know how to teach that technique, then it's cool. If you're already overstimulated, then you need to up your game with your competency level to be able to teach that. That's why I started throat training, right? I watched so much porn where I see women deep throating that I had to learn how to throat train women in order to not feel like I was missing out on something with a woman who might actually love and care about me. So you got to have the competency level for that. You know what I mean? That's very important. So I just wanted to give you your flowers for that because I think the mentality you took towards it, being married for still being sexually obsessed with your woman is that's something that I aspire towards in my own life. I'm not there. I'm 27. So you've been married damn near longer than I've been alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
hey, I'm 20 years. As of October 14th, I'm 20 years older than you. So there you go. So yeah, is you a young man giving good game. So with that being said, Mika Wash, the prophetess. What
Hello,
you
gentlemen.
for the coach?
I have a whole bunch of questions if you can bear with me.
Well,
Um,
can we try to limit it to around 4 or 5 because I'm gonna try to get out of here at the 2 hour mark.
okay. So, there's been some research and study on porn where men, okay, first of all, let's be clear. A lot of the positions that the women are in during these porns are like unrealistic. They're in these positions for the camera, so it doesn't feel good, right? Trust me, because I tried. And secondly,
You
um,
almost made me spit my water out right on my mic.
I was trying. I'm not a porn
Not
watcher,
you
so
tried. Not you tried.
well, I mean, your man see some stuff and he like, baby, can you do that? And I'll be like, let me see. I'll try to do it, But
You got to drop another bomb for me. Go ahead.
so so watching porn has been linked to men treating women as objects and not seeing them as a valuable human being. How would you answer to that or deter that? Because is it, I'm starting to realize that it does more than less make men think that we could hang from ceilings and hang upside down and put dick and balls in our mouth at the same time. Like, I mean, what do you have to say about that?
I'm gonna tell you what I got to say about it. I did a collaboration with. I could probably drop it in the comments. I did a collaboration with Taylit Triple X. Right, that's a porn star. Uh, he's like in between the amateur and the professional level. He's done some work with pretty prolific like porn stars, and we did a collaboration maybe last year or so, and we were talking about the difference between porn versus reality, right? And one thing that I will say is it's a mixed bag. And why bag is because some people's lifestyles and how it really looks similar to how porn is the idea of it. Most women who are doing porn are doing it for a paycheck.
They're not there for pure desire. But there are women who do everything and more, who enjoy every second of what they're doing because that's what they like, right? I don't think that it's fair to judge what's realistic off of porn as if it's not real. There's plenty of women who take humanistic porn because that's their job, but they would prefer one that's a little bit closer to average or one that's just slightly above average in real life. But there's real women in real life who want to get hit with some donkey dick. It's one of those things where uh, we got to understand that when a woman's doing something from a transactional state of mind, it's not the same level of arousal, same level of intensity. It's not the same level of interest. I've lived a lifestyle where, without a woman pretty much benefiting anything from financially, she would desire to do a lot of things that people see in porn that they call realistic. So to me, I see calling porn fake as pretty much gaslighting what they see as possible within a woman's desires.
I'm
Because
not saying that it's fake. I'm saying that the positions that they be in is
I'm
basically for lighting and the camera so that the viewer can see it. It's not a natural position for arousal.
I got to give a caveat. I don't watch hardcore porn. I only watch amateur porn. So let me give that caveat real quick. I only
Oh,
watch it.
I got a whole bunch of porn that if you want them, they all on DVDs. I got 1,000 of them, old ones too, black ones. But no, that's a different story. My other question, because you had addressed me about the emotional security and what was the other thing? Emotional security and something else. I can't remember. But I was saying in the comments because you guys were saying like, okay, if you I mean DMG was saying that if he's giving his woman the D every day, then she shouldn't have no space to go out there and cheat. But my thing was a woman can still feel empty because she doesn't get, and I'm not saying this about DMG or anything.
Real quick, Mika. What I
Uh,
said was, if I'm giving her the D, and if we having our engagements,
uh,
and I find out she cheating, we could have a starting point for a conversation to where I could. It's small, but it's a chance that I would be able to forgive her. Versus, I'm trying to engage with her sexually, and she's telling me no, and then I find out she's telling somebody else yes. That
right.
there is no conversation to be had at that point
Okay.
Exactly.
because
So
you are
I
essentially rejecting me while embracing somebody else.
I totally agree. There's no conversation to be had after that. I don't believe in cheating, you know what I'm saying? Unless it's something like agreed in the relationship to go outside the relationship. However, I feel like sometimes I just this is just me being a woman because I've been in many relationships in my lifetime, and the majority of the time the man feels like it's okay, you know, to have sex and this and that, but we're dealing with certain issues, and he uses sex to cure the issue. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying?
I'll say this. I want to say this too. The main point is not that you can't be sexually attracted. My point is that if the justification the person makes sure it's safe, then it's false safety because the person isn't dealing with enough of issues that come with dealing with you in a way that for what they're doing, then you can't accurately judge whether or not this person would provide the same level of safety, same content.
I'm sorry, Brody. I barely can hear you. It sounds like you broke breaking up.
So I'm saying that it's unrealistic to expect someone who isn't as invested in you to be able to uh, it's unrealistic to expect a person who's invested in you, who has a stake, a vested interest in what you're doing, to provide the same level of safety as who isn't invested enough in you, what you're doing to negatively affect them. Right? That's why I call it false safety. If a man isn't socially connected to you, isn't financially invested in you, isn't emotionally invested in you, He don't give a fuck what you do, so he can just talk everything that you're doing is good. And if you're delusional, it'll make you feel safe because he's validating your emotions. But really, he's not validating your emotions from a foundation of anything that's going to benefit your lifestyle or anything that actually benefit what you got going on. Really, he might sabotage your relationship. So I think it's important to understand that safety is not unconditional. Safety is not unconditional. If you're taking advantage of it, invested in you in order to do someone else, the safety that that other person is providing you is false. That
Okay, so now this is just me talking from a woman's point of view because typically when women cheat, you know, it's because the other man invested. It's not okay, they tried harder or they put in more effort. You know what I'm saying? And 9 times out of 10, the woman done winged them out, weeded them out to for a long time. Like a woman could be in a relationship and then like decide maybe 2 years, like 2 years before meeting this man, that she's done with the relationship, but she's still in the relationship for the additional 2 years, right? But mentally, physically, emotionally, she's gone because she sees that this man is not putting forth an effort. You know what I mean? So at that point, she is definitely searching for another opportunity. And this is why they say women treat better than men. And 9 times out of 10, she done weeded him out years prior to she start fucking him. Excuse my language. Having sex with him. She done saw he done made every single effort. He done crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. So what do you have to say about that type of security and safety?
well, what I'll say about it is this: if that nigga's gonna stick around for 2 years without fucking you, dumb, and he just sees you as a target, and after he gets you, he's probably not gonna be the same. 9 out of 10, he already is able to be there because he got a wife. And once you start expecting real relationship shit with him, he's gonna put you in your place. Be like, hey, listen, that's not what this is. I ain't want you to lead a nigga. Like, what you doing? This is this ain't what I bargained for. Women go through this shit all the time. It's just being delusional, right? A man who's not invested enough in you, like just because a man spent a couple dollars here and there, or maybe take you out here and there, or a man.
I'm not talking about taking you out here and there. I'm talking about somebody that supports your dream, there to support you, there to encourage you. Like when the other man drops the ball, he there to come in and fix it. Like say for instance, one man won't fix something, he'll come fix it. I'm talking about investing in you, like real life stuff, not no Birkin bags and all that type of thing. But let me be clear, right? Because it is a lot of men, and you're probably in the top 20 percentile of men that get a lot of vagina. But there's a 80% men who will wait 2 years, 3 years, whatever time it takes to have sex and have a longevity relationship with a person.
I guarantee you probably not still with whatever nigga that is today. I'm gonna keep it a bug with you. When it comes to them type of situations, it's like this right here, right? Like if he's willing to do all that, it's because you're not a priority and he just hasn't resources to give.
You said
And
what?
hold on, let me finish real quick.
I
Right?
can't hear you. I'm just saying. I'm just asking you for you to reiterate what you said.
Okay, so I'll put it like this right here, right? Uh a man who's worth his salt is going to deal with a single woman. If that man deals with you knowing you have another man in your life already, he's either a simp or he's trying to play you. One of the two. I done heard stories. Listen, I done been a side nigga on plenty of occasions, right? I know how this shit goes. When it comes to this shit right here, a man is either gonna deal with a single woman who's not willing to deal with a woman who's unattached. He has ulterior motives. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? You're not special to where a man that says, "Oh, even though she already has a man, I just think she's so special that I'm gonna spend 2 years pursuing her." Either he's a simp and he's not really making the cut, or he's a dude who already got other. And once you try to make him and promote him to being your man, he's not in a position. That's how it's gonna go. 9 out of 10.
Okay, so okay, yes, definitely. I wouldn't call him a simp, but he's like I said. previously, they're in the 80% in the 80% of men who, because you know how they say there's one it's 7 women to every 1 man, but real in reality there is 7 women to every 1 man in the top 20%. That in the top 20% are the men with the swag, you know what I'm saying, and all the glitz and glamour. So a lot the alpha men, well, I don't want to call them alphas, but the pseudo, I want to call them pseudo alpha because to me they're not alpha. But the women go towards these men and chase these type of men, and then there's 80% of men that are really good, decent men, because I know for sure that women don't go after, and these men are willing because they don't get no vagina, they don't get none of that, they don't have the game, they don't have the gift of gab, they don't have that, they're shy. It could be a numerous of reasons. Doesn't mean that they're bad men, right? They're good men, even handsome men and men with big penises. They just don't know their worth, right? And so this 80% of men, they are willing, and it's not always that they know that she's involved somewhere else, because 9 times out of 10 she's not gonna tell them if she's looking and searching. She's not gonna tell them, and she's gonna give him about as much time as she needs to get to know him first, and then once she's completely done, like out the relationship, then she will give him a chance.
Now,
So
if she waits until she's out the relationship first, that's different. But what I will say is this: a man who got any type of game, like a woman, don't really want to like I said, hear tender dick, right? That's one thing I said. But another thing I'll say about it is this, right? You got to be conscious of the glow up principle, right? And this is something I used to have an issue with growing up, but I don't have an issue now, right? It's like the glow up principle is this. You ever seen the movie Love Don't Thing?
yes.
When you give a man who already ain't getting pussy a chance, just like he is special, don't think it stopped with you. Because now that he's socially validated by having other women who are more attractive than you are trying to throw pussy at him. He, that's just hurt. Like don't like people be thinking that they so fucking special. It don't work like that. Man used to get no ass and you give him some and then now you on his arm and he had to put in work to get it. He don't have to tell other people he put in work to get it. He can just act like he got it all. Now other women give it to him off the strength, and some of those women are better women. And
Well, I will say that women are competitive like that. Once they, because my oldest child's father, rested in peace. Nobody was checking for his ass. I found this nigga in what they call Jurassic Park. He was in a trap, right?
Hey, me, we got
Right.
about five minutes. So if you want to get to your other
Uh,
question.
okay. The other question was, what do you do when what do you suggest a woman does when she's in a relationship and the man she's in a relationship does not give her date nights? I asked that question a long time ago, but it was in the chat.
so I'm gonna answer that question. Uh,
I
are
can't
you
hear you. I can't hear you, babe.
are you even interested to be around and to talk to? Like that's the first question to ask, because we got to ask the man if he's not having sex with his woman, is he actually desirable? It's a man's responsibility to make him sexually desirable. It's a woman's responsibility to make himself not sexually desirable. If a man don't actually like time with you, or like let's say you getting fat and you don't look too good, so he don't show you. What are you doing to make yourself somebody that he wants to show off and that he wants to talk to and spend time? Right? You got to question yourself first. And after you question yourself, you question the man. And you actually ask conversation. If he's not honest with you, that's one thing. That's his fault. But if he's being real with you, that's another.
Not
But
sex, just date night. Like not sex, date night. Like go out. Like
date night. I'm talking about date night. I'm not talking about sex.
okay, all right.
I say this conversation with man, like, hey, I like for us to go out more. I feel like I would like for us to go out more. And you know, one thing you do is what is he interested in? Like I'm in
Well,
anime, I'm
I'm
into boxing,
sorry, Brody.
I'm into anime, I'm into music, I'm into boxing. If a woman comes to me and says, hey, I like to go to this amateur boxing event or this pro boxing event. Here's tickets. Let's do this. Or I would like to go to this open mic night. Or I would like to go to this anime convention. I'm down. Bitch ain't even got to be that bad. It's just like no, you speaking my language now. Like, are you actually interested in what he's interested in, or are you just valid being seen out in public?
What if he's not interested in nothing?
Then why the fuck would he want to deal with you if you're not interested in nothing? You bored.
Okay, because look, this is my personal situation. My husband works like 7 days a week, right?
Mika.
Well, I need answers to this
No, no,
question.
no. Listen.
I want to know, how do I get this
No,
man
no.
to go on date
Real
night?
quick, real quick. We'll talk to coach about your personal situation offline because you know how these weirdos is.
Well, there's nothing wrong with him working 7 days a week. I get it. He on the
No,
grind
no,
right now. We trying to buy
no,
a
no,
house.
no.
That's why. But
What I mean is, with regards to I just don't want you talking about your personal situation with these
okay.
online. They are weird. You already
Yeah, they
know.
are weird.
Hey,
They definitely
we'll
weird.
holler at coach offline. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's
All
a way
right.
to handle that. We can talk about that offline.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, I think I'm done with all my questions for tonight. Definitely appreciate you, Brody. But I do want my question answered about the date night thing.
Yeah, we gonna make sure coach get with you. We'll holler at Classic Craig and make that connection. And I ain't mean to jump in with that, but you know these Negroes are weird, and
Well,
that's I get personally offended. Like I just put it out there. My sister Neo had a situation with somebody I'm cool with. Said some stuff out of pocket. I had to make a phone. Like I had to make a phone call because I don't like when these cats disrespect my sisters. And you one of my sisters, and that'll have me in a YouTube situation that I ain't trying to even get into. So we ain't gonna even give them no ammunition.
all right. Okay. Okay. Well, anyways, thanks, Brody, for coming on. Thank you, DMG, for letting me get on.
No
And you
doubt.
guys have a wonderful, blessed evening. Brody, hit me up. You
I will.
know.
Oh, I always enjoy talking to you, Mika. I always enjoy talking to you.
Okay. You guys have a good night.
No doubt. Peace, sis. So with that being said, man, we got to do a part two. We got to do a part two. Like we might have to do a panel because my brother Captain K been all in the chat talking about what did he say this last one? He been a side ninja lots of times. Damn, this brother all kinds of disgusting. He throwing shots left and right.
Hold on. Let
So
me go back. To me, I'm an individual. I'm a smoker, right? So I love all the smoke. So I'm about to go and get on this nigga. Post all these comments this nigga be making in these comments. So let me go.
yeah,
So you
I might have to set up a convo with y'all because I don't know exactly what my bro contention is, but I'm sure he gonna hit me up and let me know.
gonna respond to this stuff real quick. So he said, so you watch another man beat it up, get head. Yes, I'll even ask a bitch about other niggas she fuck with. Hey, look, you know what they say about artists, right? What's it, Pablo Picasso that says that, good artists such, but great artists steal? Listen, if a girl got some good dick or some good head from another nigga, I will steal his techniques. If I'm fucking with yo bitch, I will steal your techniques. So let's keep that a buck.
Oh man.
And then he had another.
Cap.
And it said, "Oh, he been a side nigga lots of times." I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, right? Most of the times I was a side nigga was not on purpose. Women lied to me about having a nigga. Like women done found ways to cheat, even though they was in an open relationship with me. That's just when you got women who like you on a certain level, they fuck with you on a certain level. They gonna find ways to justify fucking with you and to try to make it sound good to you, even if that's not what it is. Most of the times I've been a side nigga. Like to me, I turn women down if I know they got a husband off top. And sometimes if I know they got a boyfriend, I turn them down. But sometimes they don't lead with that. But I'll say this: if she already a smut, if she already a thought bucket, a smut bucket, and she already cheating on her man, then what I'ma change by being another nigga who fucking with her when she already cheating on him. So
Right.
things where I don't like karma with that shit. So I don't agree with just being a side nigga just to be a side nigga for a woman who's in a good relationship. But what I will say is that I'm gonna say something controversial. Sometimes side pieces keep your relationship together. I done had times where I done had side pieces that kept my relationships together. where what you get outside of the relationship is something that makes it easier to keep your relationship together with someone you really love and care about. And that's a hard conversation for some people, but you got to be real with yourself. So I understand his point of view. Being from ISUPK, I'm an Israelite myself, but I'm not in one of the camps. Y'all got certain views that's a little bit more dogmatic than my own, and I understand and I respect it, but it's just it's not my cup of tea. But for me personally, I do get where you're coming from. I'm not sitting here trying to shit on you completely, but just understand what you're talking about before you start talking too much.
So wait a minute. So you're an Israelite?
Yeah, I'm an Israelite.
Oh, brother, I definitely gotta put together something with you and Cap. Aside from the stuff, we've been talking about tonight. But yeah, I gotta get y'all together. And
Yeah, video called Concubine Culture, right? Because that's the way that, based off of my spiritual beliefs, I interact with dating and relationships. Because in the biblical times, unless a woman was a virgin, she wasn't qualified off top to be a white virgin. 9 out of 10, if you 0.5 out of 10, if you meet a woman in this day and age, she's not going to be a virgin. So it's really a matter of, when you meet a woman in this day and age, you deal with her as if she's a concubine who has her own bread, and then she has to qualify herself for whatever position she has in your life, rather than you meeting a woman who's a virgin who's under her father's house, and then you give him there's no dowry. You don't give a woman's father the bride price, because these women aren't under subjection to their father. So it's just ways that I navigate dealing with modern culture and society in, without contradicting and going against my values and beliefs when it comes to my spiritual beliefs. I stay in alignment with my spiritual beliefs with how I interact.
okay, I got you. I got you. So with that being said, man, close out. Let the people know what you got going on one more time. I know you told them at the beginning. Let them know again, and we'll close it out with some of that fire music you got going.
Hold on, let me send you one more. Do you have my track Jensen Gigolos? I want you to play that to end it out. But one
Yeah,
thing I will,
send it to me. Send it to me.
I'm gonna send it to you. So one thing I'll say is this right here. I believe that in this generation that we're in, it's not enough to simply be a man who leads with his heart dealing with the woman, because there's so much access to great dick. There's so much access to good dick to experience for a woman, that unless you're also providing her a taboo of experience, you're not touching on enough aspects of her animus to truly be that man to her. So toxic dick is a requirement. You have to slut her out. And another thing I'll say is that check out my website, brodiedarma.com. It just launched today, www.brodiedarma.com. That's my website. If you want to donate and bless my Cash App, MARIBALL. That'll say Coach Brody. When you send some money to it, that's feel blessed by anything that was said tonight. Just bless. His Cash App is right up there too, DMG the Poet. And I just appreciate everybody who's tonight. I appreciate everybody who's listened, who's offered things of substance in the comments. I appreciate you, DMG. Really good conversation. We definitely didn't touch in deep as much as we could on certain topics. We only touched on the foot 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Anything we was going to
yeah,
talk about. We didn't talk about the sexual transportation.
right. That's why I say we definitely gotta do a part two. Did you send me that yet?
Look, I'm about to send it to you right now. Let me send this to you.
Yeah, we definitely got to do a part two, because yeah, we definitely kind of skim the surface of a few topics. I was trying to hurry up and get to. I thought we was gonna have more people come in and ask questions, but I did want to keep it somewhere within that 2 hour time frame. As you know, I'm going to worship at my altar in a few minutes myself. So I gotta keep it to a minimum with regards to our time, because I'm gonna go play with my own candy coated toes here in a few seconds.
Plans is
But
tomorrow. I got mine coming through tomorrow. Hey, some real stuff. I appreciate you, man. Things you saying is some stuff feel that way about the woman I'm with in the next 20 years of my own life. So I got a lot of respect for the things that you're saying. We got some similar mindsets. And also, what I'll say is that a lot of these things that we're talking about are very valuable concepts to really grasp and understand. We didn't get to get too deep into everything, but topics. I do coaching sessions, so if somebody wants to hit me up, and man, I tonight, man. I will say this: one goal that I have with these lives is that I want the men and women. Well, I want the women who come on these lives, listen to these calls, but pussy to get wet, hear all this sexual shit, so they can go. Understand that is a level of sexual energy treatment. When you're able to get turned on by another man and go fuck your man, that's sexual transmutation. If you want an example right here and there about what sexual transmutation is, that's what it is, right? That's requiring less work for your man to seduce you, but you encouraging the cycle of energy in your sexual relationship with your man based off of things that you're observing. That is something I see as created, and I value and I respect. And anything that I can do to help with that, that's something I'm willing to do. So that's what I want to say about it.
No doubt. And again, like the brother said, we, when we talk about these things, it's not to put down anybody who may not share our sentiments, who may not practice things the way we think, the way we practice them, or to put an emphasis on the things we put an emphasis on. It's just to highlight what we believe are important aspects of life. And if you share that sentiment, then by all means, act accordingly. But it's not to be dogmatic about any of these things. But if you do find some insight, feel free to move forward in that. And so hopefully you learn something. And again, we're going to schedule a part 2, hopefully for next Thursday, or maybe the following weekend after that. And we're going to try to get this brother on regularly to give us some of this good game. But with that being said, this has been Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother DMG. And we're going to leave you with some music from this powerful brother, Coach Brody. Again, we're going to have part 2. We're going to get a little more in depth with sacred sexuality, the foot fetish thing, transmutation, etc. And we hope y'all come back and join us for that. So y'all look out for that, hopefully next week, or like I said, the following weekend. With that being said, check out Coach Brody. This is Gents and Gigolos.
And hey, if it's possible, can you send me the cross posted on YouTube as well?
Say that one more time.
If it's that possible, can you we transfer? I can cross post it on my YouTube.
The show?
Yeah.
No doubt. Put your email address in the private chat.
All right, no doubt.
Playing in the rain, no umbrella, clothes drenching up. Fall into a puddle like a bridge to Terabithia. Shoot a shot and leaking buckets. Thought it was shallow, but somehow I see it's deepened up. Primal instincts is creeping up. Thirst the liminal space of consciousness we've been dreaming of. Like drinking cups and steaming bud. Opened up to suggestion, no question, I keep it buck. I'm honest, Adonis, ramming the bush. Debriefing before the cheeks is cuffed. King push, steeping leaves in the water and sip it hot as a sauna. A teep in the knee, how I beat it up. Reaching my garden, hand in the cookie jar. Now that's an and one. Put my stamp on the pussy like it's my grandson. Demigod, H-bomb, or I be shooting up the damn club. Brit wrap it up, don't play Delilah to my Samsung. Push and praise my plan one. Make her open both eyes. Kill you one attract and take your love like by toe size. Sacrificing herself to me, laying there like y'all both died. Trust and betrayal, lust ain't a fable. I know she says it is thespian begging for me, but treating you like you're pestering. Feel resentment festering. I've been a dog, feeling shaggy when my medal's in. It wasn't me, go for the goal. I'm meddling, now you're detecting my Dior Sauvage and your mystery machine. But the scene on the screen where my my kids disappear was unsettling. She would've got away with it too. I let it go goofy goo, but a gobble wood till I grew to give her back to the streets and out my sheets, cause I knew don't want that energy around me. Clowning on your man because you found me, canceling our plans because he's hounding. Can't serve two masters. I'm a dom, I say it loudly. They say it's cap, come back and recant, I prove it proudly. My prestige is touted, doubted till they shouted. Jensen gigolos, playing stepdad, piccolo, skinny skin flute. Yeah, she love you, but she like how my pickle's low. Love is dope, but never give your heart to these fickle hoes. Cause when I come around, it's like a belt buckle missile.